sticky mushroom.
Let's keep the party going. Keep the party going. Keep the party going. Crystals! My name is Squiscar, go into a Swiss bar, pound some brewskis, hang out with some slowsies. Maybe get slurpees, maybe gets herpes, keeps the parties going, you know what I mean? And I was watching the DOOMSTAR Requiem earlier. That one Metalocalypse special that had... it left some massive cliffhangers that lasted for maybe a decade or so. I actually just got through watching most of the series recently. And I say most of the series, not counting the Army of the Doomstar. I started watching that earlier, but I was having some issues with my Blu-ray player on my computer. Because I've been wanting to watch the entire series all the way through till the Army of the Doomstar. I gotta say, I love that movie. I don't care what people have been saying. It's I was looking at some reviews online, and I noticed that most people are just it's not good because it doesn't have the same kind of ridiculous humor at every turn. But I think there's a huge difference between the movie and the series, and I think the approach that they were taking with the movie was something more dramatic, because I think it needed to be done. It still had elements of the kind of zany humor that was from the series, but the focus wasn't the humor, the focus was the story itself. I think the movie was a lot more to the point than people probably wanted. I think anyone who would go back and watch the rest of the series and then watch the movie might be disappointed because it doesn't have the same kind of octane energy. But I think those that have followed the story, that wanted to see the actual conclusion to the story itself, might be much more surprised. Might get more of a kick out of it. Me, I was definitely more on the side of seeing the story come to a conclusion. It's very epic in scope. I think it's out of everything, even the Doomstar Requiem, I think it's the best thing that the team that created that show has ever done. And I'm praying that we get more, honestly. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here, but I kind of feel if they were to go in a little bit more of a serious route with the storytelling, if they were to do a future series and just keep a focus on cool compositions and stuff like that, maybe make Death Clock somewhat more of an action oriented show, not just episode by episode having the band members just fucking around with each other. I'm probably in the minority when I say that, but I think I'd prefer that. I feel a lot of the original series revolved around that, and this is before the band really uncovered their true potential. And I feel with this movie now, with everything that happens, I feel that can open the possibility for them to make Metalocalypse into something that may be more is more action oriented, even though the original series had a lot of actiony moments, but maybe put a little bit more of that action in what the band is about. Still maintaining the humor, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean. Putting more of an emphasis on storytelling. Maybe updating the art style too, because I feel the art style is really unique for what it is. But at the same time, I think maybe an updated art style that allows for the characters to be more flexible, I think would definitely benefit, a series revival or something like that. It wouldn't be in the same way as what they did with Aqua Teen Hunger Force when they did the movie for that, because I tried watching it, and the update that they did with the art style and the animation, just it was so out of place. I feel with Metalocalypse there's more potential just because of how vast that universe is. I know Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Metalocalypse is basically comparing apples to oranges in terms of story and whatnot, because Aqua Teen Hunger Force isn't really a story-driven show. That show is purely based on the humor itself, but Metalocalypse is a balance between humor, the absurd, dark humor, and the story and the character development. And honestly, I would love to see, you know, even more character development of the characters. I feel like there's a lot of potential there, and I feel like if they were to, you know, focus on that, maybe they could create something that's like even bigger than the original show. I don't know what Brendan has in mind for what could be a potential continuation of the series, because I read somewhere that apparently he has like another idea in the can for like, you know, what they could do. But I personally would love to see like the story itself continue and just not focus as much on the band fucking around, you know? Still have elements of that, but also have the band members themselves become bigger heroes than they are. You know, see what their true potential is as, you know, these massive heroes within the universe. I don't know, Metalocalypse is like one of those shows that I grew up with, like in my late teens, and it got me through those years, let's just say. My teenage years definitely had like their challenges. You know, I'm 30 now, and like, you know, rewatching the show kind of makes, you know, I have like a totally different like appreciation for it too. Even though I will say there are some jokes that, let's just say, most people, if they were to try and make that kind of stuff nowadays, wouldn't be able to get away with it. There's also some directions that they took with a few characters, which I actually want to talk about Metalocalypse, like in some Beekman videos in the future. But there are some directions that they took with like character, mostly just one character in general, that I'm just like, no. Okay, I'll just say it, fuck it, Dr. Roxo. That character is funny as fuck, but yeah, that one season 3 episode, it reveals a dark past of his. Kind of sullies his character, but at the same time, it also, you know, every time that like I go back and watch the series and see him get the shit kicked out of him, it's kind of nice. Dr. Roxo is a great comic relief character, and that's it. But as a character himself, he's a piece of shit. And is totally understandable why every character in the show hates him. And I got a feeling that twist that they put in there was probably one of the reasons why they wanted to illustrate that. But yeah, Metalocalypse, definitely one of my favorite shows.